Hi everybody, welcome to another video. I thought today I would pick up one of my older games that I had played solo, but got the opportunity last night for two of the chaps at the club to come round and have a game. I played solo Islamwana, and they got a chance last night to play Rorke's Drift. So without further ado, this is Victoria Cross 2, the Deluxe edition by Worthington Games, the Battles of Rorke's Drift and Islamwana. In the first part of the video, I just want to show you some of the components, and then I'll show you the board with the maps and some of the nice things that are included in that. I'll talk about some of the rules, having played it now a few times, things that I like, things that maybe I feel could be improved or maybe house ruled, and sum up with my general sort of comments having watched the game last night. So I hope you enjoy the video, and let's move on to showing you what's inside the box. So first things first, this is actually the sleeve for this box, which comes around this beautifully illustrated box. Famous scene, famous painting, but as you can see there, a real lovely piece of artwork. And as we go into the box itself, usual kind of quality finish as you would come to expect from Worthington. Again, very famous painting printed inside the box from the Battle of Islamwana. I'm a real colonial wars nut, so this game was a given when I saw that they were going to be releasing a deluxe version. The older version obviously didn't have perhaps quite the same quality of components, and the deluxe version also came with a mounted board, which was very attractive. So two sets of rules, one for each player if applicable. Again, the rules themselves very nice. They actually include the rules for both battles, and they're separated by these little markers. So the red line is Rorke's Drift, the brown crisscrossed line is the Islamwana specific rules, and as you can see there, it goes through in nice details. You've got some optional rules in there as well, and then a solitaire bot for solitaire play, examples of play. So really nice polished feel with a fact sheet, QRS on the back. So the actual rules themselves probably come to about 10 pages. So this is not a difficult game to pick up. It's very easy to play. You can get it on the board, and as we saw last night, get into the action quite quickly. So that's really nice. We've then got quick reference sheets. I'll come back specifically to this CRT and melee charts a bit later in the video. That's one of the areas I wanted to talk about. And then you've got sheets specific to each battle, victory point tracks, Zulu strengths eliminated, turn track. Again, that will become relevant later on the Rorke's Drift. We've got a specific track for the hospital as well. And then we've got the QRSs for the bots for solitaire play for both battles. Again, a nice touch. And then we've got the map itself, which is huge and really lovely, and I'm going to show you that separately in a moment. And then in the bottom you've got this lovely counter tray with all your different counters inside, your dice, they all come with that. And just to show you the quality of some of the counters, this is from Rorke's Drift. So you've got the normal strength side and the spent side. the Zulus are on these lovely rectangular bases with a strength of 1 to 10. But again, really nice if you want to play Fog of War, you can have them that way round. And there's some lovely markers in here. So we've got some of the Islamwana counters as well, which are in a slightly different colour. You've got the Natal units, like so. Let's just get that zoomed in for you. And then you've got some of the 24-foot. Again, this one will be from the Islamwana battle. Okay. So really lovely components, thick cardstock, good quality counters, big counters, which I really like with my poor eyes. Overall, in terms of presentation and quality components, excellent, faultless actually. So well done to Worthington on that. But what I'll do now is start talking a little bit about some of the rules, and first of all show you that lovely mounted board. So this is the map for Islamwana. As you can see, beautiful mounted map, some beautiful details from this top-down view. You've got the dongas in the southern part of the map, some of the hills in the top half, and then the camp with the famous sphinx-shaped hill on the left, and the Buffalo River, so that direction anyway, on the left-hand side of the map, which would be the potential retreat of any surviving British forces. But I'll zoom in a little bit just to show you a little bit more. So as you can see here, some of the finer details of this, what I feel is stunning board. You can see zone numbers, and for example zone 15, the main camp for the British, worth 10 victory points to whoever holds it. And you'll see these R1, R2, R3 markers, which are representative of ranges for firing, and these are the zones that would equate to those ranges. So rather than having to do measuring or look at hex numbers, distances, anything like that, everything is on the board when it comes to working out the fire factors, which I think is a really nice touch in the game. And as we've found out various times, it really speeds the game along. It makes it very, very easy to work out firing factors. The shields on this particular map represent deployment placements for the Zulus, and sort of the timing or options that they have of where to deploy at certain rounds of the game. But hopefully you can get a really good feel of some of the lovely details captured on the map there, and it gives you a flavour of what is a fantastic game. As I say, I haven't played this with 2 players as yet. I've played it solo using the solo bot. The bot is okay. I must admit, it took me a little while to get my head around the workings of it. I think I probably made a few mistakes in the early days in terms of a bit confused with the deployment options. But I'm sure the bot will be no match for a proper opponent, particularly for a game of this stature. So that is Islamwana, and a couple of comments having played this, of maybe what's good and what's not so good from that point of view. So this is the Rorke's Drift board. It's actually on the other side of the board I've just shown you. A unique touch with this double mounted board, and as you can see, again, very similar with the zones. We have the ranges on, but of course it's a very different field of battle, with the mission station taking up the center of the board. And as we zoom in, some of the key areas famous to the battle are included, such as the hospital, the water cart area, the hospital and storehouse, the Grand Redoubt of mealybags, and of course some of the kraal areas as well. And you can see some of the lovely details again that have been captured on this board. It's absolutely superb. Probably one of the best mounted board game boards I have seen. Yeah, it really is a thing of beauty. It's lovely. In terms of the game last night, it went pretty true to form. So we had the British set up within the compound. They're not allowed to move outside. Zulus coming in, testing all around the strengths of the British firepower, which was pretty potent in the early period. Zulus taking heavy casualties. But in this game, the Zulus do come back on again at the beginning of every turn. So you get this kind of wave effect with the remnants of the previous round being joined by fresh troops. And eventually, of course, attrition starts to whittle down the British defenders. And this is what was happening last night, with the main focus being in the hospital area, which eventually caught fire. The Zulus broke into 2 or 3 of the rooms. The British were fighting a bit of a rearguard action there. Ultimately, the British retreated out one way, the Zulus out the other, to avoid the collapsing hospital as the fire took hold. But the Zulus grabbed 6 victory points of the 14 that they needed to achieve there. And were kind of in a position, probably when we wrap things up due to time, of potentially being able to push into these areas of the compound the next turn, as the British remnants here were likely to then retreat into this zone with the Grand Redoubt, the storehouse, the kraal, etc. And certainly talking to my brother who was playing the British, that was pretty much his intention in subsequent turns. But I think general consensus was it was a really enjoyable game. There were 1 or 2 slight niggles. The main one, which it might well be down to my lack of understanding of the rules, and I do need to have a look at the geek to see if this has been answered, was the combat around the hospital and shooting in and out of it. So from what I can understand, you can shoot out of it but not into it. And there was a bit of confusion around melees, whether you could melee from a zone into zone P, for example, into zone J, and vice versa. It'd be good to understand if that was a yes. We took it as was because we couldn't see an answer to the contrary, but just something to be aware of there. The other thing was more a mechanic in the rules generally, which I'll come on to shortly, and it's actually a positive mechanic, but it doesn't always really work in the right kind of way. So it may be something you'd want to house rule or just adapt to your own tastes, but it's a minor thing. In the grand scheme of things, this is a fabulous game with great components, great rules. It's easy setup, easy to get anyone involved playing it, and the maps, as I say, are a thing of beauty. But let's just revert back to some of the things related to the rules and the play sheets that I showed you at the beginning of the video. So just a couple of observations with some of the rules. This is a sheet which you use during the game. It's available for both battles. This is a really excellent addition to the game in my view. So you've got your turn track with all your information on there. In the Rorke's game, you've got 8 day turns, 8 night turns. You've got the hospital fire track. You can see there it sort of shows you, you roll a dice at each turn in the phase, and depending on that will depend how quickly that fire takes over and destroys the hospital. And obviously anything in there, you've got the outcome of things being eliminated. The zone is then impassable, but the Zulus get their victory points. The British can influence the victory point track by inflicting 47 points of damage in a turn. and you keep track of the Zulu damage points here each turn, so you know how many to replace at the beginning of the next turn. That's really good, because that is something that becomes a bit of a bind if you've got to keep trying to count up how many you got on the table and how many you need to replace. And of course you've got the Zulu victory point track. The Islamwana one is exactly the same, just without the hospital, because obviously that didn't take a part in that battle. So a really nice touch there. Then we've got the quick reference with the phases. So I pretty much was running the game off this. You got the Zulu random fire chart, which produced some very interesting results last night. I think we had we played 7-8 turns in total during the evening. Majority of those were no casualties, or maybe the odd one. But we had one turn where the Zulu player inflicted 4 casualties in one zone. He rolled 4 6s, and yes, that put the British player under some considerable pressure at that point. So it was an interesting random dynamic, but as we know, the Zulus had captured equipment up on the high ground overlooking the mission station, so that was obviously a bit of a hindrance, that fire. And then we have the fire chart. Now this is if you want to, or if you enjoy a dice fest. I must admit, I was very conscious of this with the guys playing it last night. They were new to the game, that potentially they could be rolling masses and masses of dice. So rather than doing that, I thought I would try the combat results tables that are provided both for melee, but also for firing at range 1, 2 or 3. And you'll see on the left here, it's based on the number of strength points firing. So it probably averaged out, but the thing that probably I wasn't so comfortable with was that there was an awful lot of firing where you might have had units with 2 strength points firing on their own, up to units with several units totaling 8. And you can see the variation there. You could have a 2-point unit roll a 6 and inflict 5 casualties, or an 8-point unit roll a 1 and inflict 1. So I think looking at this, I think if I was playing it again, I'd be inclined, if I've got anything 1 to maybe 5 strength points, or 1 to 4, which would probably be a couple of units, I would recommend rolling those individually. And maybe 5+ you roll on this chart to speed things along. But it averaged out, but it did throw up a couple of strange results at times. But overall, it did not detract from the enjoyment of the game itself. So overall, this is a brilliant game. It's one I want to get out again and play with the guys. Probably will try Islamwana next. I'd also like to try Rorke's Drift Solitaire, just to see how the bot plays out with that one. But this, in effect, is 2 games in one, 4 if you include the solitaire options. You've got nice components, lovely mounted board, simple rules, but rules that you could easily chop and change or house rule yourself as you see fit, if there are any elements that you particularly want to strengthen or you're not happy with. But overall, I think Worthington have done a fabulous job, and this is one that should definitely be on your wish list if you've got any interest in these famous actions or colonial wars in general. But I hope you've enjoyed the video, and look forward to seeing you again next time.